Everyone, this is David Snyder from Lit Protocol, and could not be happier to be joined by Brihu from Genius Terminal. Hey, Brihu, thanks for making the time.
Of course, David. Super happy to be here. Very, very excited to be a part of everything that's going on in the lit ecosystem, and so excited for what's to come. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. It's we'll get into all of the fun details around what makes it exciting. But for the listeners who are not familiar with Genius Terminal, do you want to introduce your product a little bit and yeah, kind of how you got here?
Absolutely, yeah. Genius. Genius is the home for all of crypto. It's one place where you can manage all your positions across EVM, Solana, Sui. We'll be integrating other VMs pretty soon, but it's one of the most performant trading terminals on the market for EVM, for Solana, and for Sui. And so whether you're trying to get in and out of positions, whether you're trying to do complicated strategies, whether you're trying to snipe, follow whales, follow smart traders, whatever it may be, Genius is the place to go. And so we're really excited to be built on top of, I mean, fundamentally Lit was what enabled the vision which we have today, in a lot of ways. But yeah, no, it's Genius is where everyone will go to manage their non-custodial crypto.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people. It's just been so exciting over the past year or so, just kind of seeing the iterations, the improvements, the capabilities of what can be done on Genius, both on the web and in the app. So coming back to Lit Protocol, I know the story, but for folks who are tuning in, how did you first come across Lit Protocol?
Yeah, we came across Lit Protocol, I think, in the very, very early days. Before Genius Terminal, we were actually building a product called Lore, which was an AI block explorer, and the goal here was to make crypto more legible. And we originally came across Lit, as we were looking. Lit has an L2, and we're like, can we tool Lit's L2? Quickly realized the fundamental slash groundbreaking capabilities that Lit enables in the space, and quickly realized that while Lore was a great cash flow business, the thing that we wanted to build was not on the data layer where people went after interacting with crypto, but was to fundamentally change the way of how people interact, imagine, and manage their crypto. And at the time, this was probably what, year and a half, 2 years ago now. At the time, it was very fundamentally broken. It was hard to move stuff between different networks, even between EVM networks. It's just very difficult. Like, to say, like, Solana was just completely out of the question. Like, Sui was just completely out of the question. You'd had bridge times over like 20 minutes to get to these networks. Just not feasible. And so, the original premise, came across Lit, and we're like, we can build um, decentralized exchange experience on chain, and that's fundamentally driven the vision for Genius, and it's expanded to becoming this home for crypto, where it's you want to open up a purse position, and then you want to close that position, open up an LP position. You want to manage that all in one thing. You want to do that all in one button click. It just wasn't possible before because there wasn't this orchestration layer for all these non-custodial actions. Like, there just wasn't a way to really do that seamlessly. And so, this fundamentally, I think we we came across Lit, and that the concept of Lit actions, and the way I personally have always liked to internalize it is this encryption decryption layer, but just very easy for me as a dev is just JavaScript smart contracts that I can run anywhere that are just non-custodial, and it's SEC is happy, I'm happy, everyone's happy. And just fundamental game changer. Really enabled the vision for Genius in a lot of ways.
So as you think about like adding new features, how does like maybe you can walk us through your process a little bit.
Sure.
So you wanted to add a new chain, like I know Sweet was recently added. How do you start? Do you start with here's the feature that we want to enable, and then you just expect that Lit is going to support it? Do you think about how do you implement this in Lit first? What's your process look like there?
Yeah, I mean, we actually have not. So Lit is just so general purpose that we almost start with feature first. It's just like we want to do this, and we're like we're Lit generally can support everything. It's just JavaScript,
Right.
right? I mean, if you know how to write it in JS or TS, like you're gonna be able to do it with Lit. And I think that really is the fundamental game changer. It's like, um, for instance, like to kind of give a little bit more context, Genius has two products. We're a trading terminal, and all our uh, I would say complicated intent-based actions, limit orders, stop losses, copy trading, and then all our more specialty features such as multi-wallet management, being able to get in and out of positions with 100, 200 wallets. All of that is done through Lit because it's just fundamentally we can do that on a non-custodial level. We also have an intent-based bridge called Genius Bridge, and essentially it is a universal solver, and this is enabled by Lit protocol again, where we can um, you have a token on a source chain, you want to get your target chain token. What we can actually do is we can run a solver through um, Lit's MPC network to actually get you the best rate on that target chain, cheaper than anywhere else right now, especially cross VM and at par with everything else on the network. So Genius kind of has those two products, and the terminal, the bridge enables a lot of the cross chain functionality within the terminal. So that I think that just sets a little bit of context here. Um, but whether it's kind of like fast experimentation or like on the bridge side, we've had now three audits, one crowdsourced audit, very bulletproof, like deeply integrated with smart contracts. It's a very very battle tested system, and then on the terminal side, of course, like we have pen testers, we have audits, all these things going on. But even when we want to experiment a little bit faster, we want to do something new. Lit's very flexible for that as well. And so pretty much it's like we think of a feature, it's like, can we scaffold this with Lit? It works great, and then it goes into optimization, security, robustness, and of course, like the Lit team has been, you guys have been great partners. Like anytime we have, like, can you like check the security on this? Like, do you guys see anything just kind of glaring? Been great partners, and just making sure things are battle tested there. But yeah, I would say we've always started with feature first, just because there's never really been a question whether we can or cannot do something with Lit. It's just we can. The only time we've ever been like is I think there's other non-custodial providers out there, whether that may be like Privy, Turnkey, Dynamic, except which are a little bit more, I would say, they're a little bit more like hard coded in their implementation. Like I think everyone's moving the space forward in ways, but I would say Lit has by far been the most flexible and feature, like it enables the most feature robustness.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the vision and the way that you all have run with it, which is, like certainly there's a pretty strong meme right now of intents and solvers, but where the traction seems to have been centered is that like the same place that somebody shows up with an intent, the solver is also there, which to me is very much fundamental to
Absolutely.
the design of the Genius Bridge, which is the liquidity is there, and then when the liquidity is under the same umbrella as the product, there's also all kinds of like interesting things that I'm sure you'll be doing with that in the months ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, amazing. And so, when you're talking to people about what you do at Genius Terminal, and certainly the idea of like it's the one-stop shop for everything that you want to do on chain makes a lot of sense. And somebody goes, "That's cool, but how does it work? How do you explain Lit protocol to a friend?"
How do I think this definitely bifurcates between if I'm talking to like, is my friend technical, is my friend non-technical, is this just like a normal person? If it's a normal person, it's like Lit's this magic layer, and you're just gonna be happy. You're gonna be able to trade your crypto, and you don't have to think twice about it, right? And I think it really does kind of serve that purpose. I usually just like Lit is this multi-party compute network. Fancy words for saying your money's safe and you're going to be able to do what you want on chain, right? It's at a very high level. It's kind of like what I just tell to normies and friends. If I'm going a little bit more technical, if I'm like telling like a founder friend, or I'm working with someone saying, hey, like you can use Lit to do this, definitely go into the weeds. I mean, I think my favorite conceptualization is just like I think there's like it's programmatic encryption and decryption encoded with user intent, right? And I think that's like how I like to think about it. And then in the most technical terms, it's like JavaScript smart contracts that I can do very very fine grained auth controls with, that can sign transactions on behalf of a user. But they that they choose and they set, right? And I think the key enabler here is that these things, like everything's written in JavaScript, which just enables this massive dev base, right? I think a lot of developers are very familiar with the application level of smart contracts. Like I know how to, of course, I mean, like we have very deep like smart contracts within the team. Like, but I think for people who are just getting into the space, they may be familiar with like, okay, I'm gonna use VM, or I'm gonna use like Solana Web3, whatever it may be, they can interact with a lot of smart contracts. And there's been a lot of foundational work for these smart contracts. And it really just enables this like new set of developer to jump in, get their hands dirty and build really foundational products while continuing to stay on the application level, which I think is really awesome. But yeah, my favorite conceptualization of this is, of course, programmatic decryption, encryption, but just like JavaScript smart contracts is what I've
Like
always
that.
just kind of how I thought of it. And I think it's just like such a salient way to communicate everything you can kind of do there.
Yeah, makes sense. And one thing that I really love about the way that you all have implemented Lit protocol is that, it can kind of seem like currently in the status quo, the set of what are the leading chains and what are the set of leading chains like pretty well established, right?
Yeah.
We're like very much living in a world of EVM dominance today. And if you look at like Robinhood and Stripe, it seems like that might continue for some time.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantees of
Oh
that.
no.
And that's what I really love about your design is that like it is totally future proofed for new consensus methods, like new gigantic players. If JP Morgan Chase comes in with a chain and it's not EVM compatible,
Yeah.
the set of cross chain systems that will be ready to go on that on day one is very limited, but Genius is for sure in that set based on this design.
Absolutely. And I think that speaks a lot for Lit as well, too, right? And once again, choosing to do all this thing on kind of the JS layer, right? Like you're running a Dino environment and all your MPC nodes. I think, which is why I'm just so fundamentally excited about Lit and the TGE, is because I think, what really makes a great protocol, apart from like a great team and everything, is like, you need to have truly foundational tech, right? And like metas come and go. Like, before, like we went through NFTs, and there was like an L2 hype cycle, and there was an RWA hype cycle, and then like the meme cycles here, and then AI, I mean, I think is going to be here for a while, to be fair. At the end of the day, right, there is going to be another cycle that comes through. And the thing that I really love about Lit is that it's a very foundational technology, right? It's like you can do pretty much every fundamental privacy protocol right now could be written efficiently with Lit, or more efficiently with Lit. But the key factor is like you don't need to be a deep cryptographer to do it, right? Lit lets like kind of gives that deep cryptography to like a really smart maybe potentially web 2 developer, right? And I think that's what's truly like Lit off of all the metas, right, is going to stay around because it's one of those foundational techs that's going to adapt. And the same way as how we think about building Genius Terminal, it's like we're not optimizing for this meme cycle that's currently in right now. We're not necessarily optimizing for the AI cycle. We're optimizing for one being the home of all crypto, where it's you want to take out a Polymarket bet. Like it's going to be the easiest to do that. It's going to be easier to take out a Polymarket bet on Genius than it is going to be on the Polymarket UI, right? And then because also you're going to be able to pull your like liquidity from, you're going to be able to in 2 buttons pull your liquidity from your LP pool because you're like, okay, I don't really need this anymore, and take out a bet in 2 clicks, right? And that seamlessness of just being able to navigate all of crypto, whatever may come, whatever may go, but that one unified interface where people feel comfortable, it's the most secure thing you're going to get, and the most performant if you want to switch into trading mode, right? That's what we just fundamentally want to enable across the board for Genius. That wasn't possible before, but now it finally is.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, even kind of tracking the trajectory of wallets, which is like initially one of the initial dreams of Ethereum is like you have one account for the whole internet. And that was true for some years in the Chrome extension years, where your wallet followed you around as you went from page to page to page. And then for the past couple of years, we've been in this embedded wallet era where every app that you use is provisioning a different account for you, and you have those kind of scattered around multiple vendors. But what you're articulating here, which makes so much sense, is that it can all be under one umbrella. There's no
Absolutely.
reason that you have to go to separate interfaces for every single different crypto action, especially across all chains.
Absolutely. And, I think fundamentally it's like, you have this concept of, crypto is very big on decentralization. And of course, like decentralization on the base level is what gives us security. But I think if you can maintain that sense of security, non-custodialness, but then also just be able to knit these interfaces together with Lit, I like to call it, I mean, like Lit's kind of that glue, right? If you can knit all these interfaces together, then you fundamentally get to write like what crypto UX should be. And like that is the crypto dream. I think, since 2020, honestly, like 2018, right? Like the dream has always just been being able to use crypto like the centralized exchange experience, but you can do so many more things, right? You can do perps, you can LP, you can take out these bets, you can do so many more things on chain because you're playing with fundamental financial primitives. But being able to bring that into that unified experience across the board, right? On a mobile app, in a web experience, I mean, Telegram, whatever it may be, right? And that's where Genius is going. But also like, having that performance that you expect in a centralized exchange experience, we can do that finally, right? And so yeah, and I fully agree with you.
What do you make of the kind of in the last 6 months, the centralized exchanges embedding DEXs
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
moving
I've been
more
basing
towards
it
a
too,
hybrid
right?
kind of
Like
DeFi?
the
Yeah,
global market, the global people across the world like want to be non-custodial. I think centralized is going to serve a really great purpose, right? Like I think there is a security in like Coinbase, Robin, right? Like I get FDIC insurance. It's like it's nice. It's very very nice to like have my crypto be secured. If some mess up happens, it's great. But I think to a large extent of the world where these services just aren't available but have a lot of capital, or a lot of the world where you can't really trust centralized entities, which it's great to be in the U.S. and have that infrastructure, but it doesn't exist for a lot of the world. And it's like people are seeing that, and then
yep.
there's also just so much more flexibility that you can do on chain, right? Where it's like yeah, the concept of being able to like crypto's fundamental enablement is being able to spin up financial markets. It is sorry, I guess a better way of putting it is like if you have an opaque market, you can make it non-opaque immediately, right? You can provide liquidity to an opaque market anyway, and like that financial flexibility is why uh, like all these exchanges like want to move into there's so much it's a new world, right? There's so much land to still capitalize on. I think people are seeing that, and it's like Genius is leading the vanguard along with Lit, honestly, right? Because it's like we're getting into the space where crypto is kind of like growing up in a lot of ways.
Speaking of kind of growing up and what's next, for as much as you can share, what are you excited about in the next kind of 6 to 18 months from a product point of view?
I mean, Genius is going to be the most performant trading terminal on the market. We have some very exciting things in terms of partnerships with very big players. We personally were super excited with how Aster went. I think we take a lot of inspiration from the Aster team, and we're excited to see what we can do along those lines. We're very excited about the BNB ecosystem, and like you said, I don't think there's chains come and go. Right now we're extremely excited about BNB, and excited, but like yeah, we will be most performant trading terminal across the board, and one of the most feature rich, if not the most feature rich trading terminal, thanks to Lit.
Amazing. Well, for folks that aren't using Genius yet, but want to start either downloading the app or using the terminal, where can they go?
You can go to tradegenius.com and it's just click get started, and it'll take you to the best trading experience you'll ever have.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, David. Really appreciate you.